In this lecture, we're going to start preparing an environment for PHP. It's going to be easier than you think. But what is an environment? Why is it important to have one? Let's demystify this concept before taking a step further. Suppose we were gardening. What does a garden need? There needs to be soil, sunlight, and water. Without the proper environment, our plants would not be able to flourish. It's absolutely critical to cultivate land for growing plants and food. The concept of preparing an environment for gardening can be applied to the programming world. Applications need the proper environment for running code. In the programming world, an environment is the machine where the application runs. In most cases, applications rely on additional software. Without the proper tools or programs, our applications won't work. Generally speaking, there are two types of environments, which are local and production environments. A local environment refers to the setup you have on your personal computer or local machine, where you can write, test, and run your code. Local environments are primarily used for development and testing purposes. This allows you, the developer, to break things without disrupting your users. You can freely modify and make changes before shipping a program to the world. On the other hand, a production environment is a live environment where your code is actually deployed and running for end users. A production environment is typically hosted on a remote server. It is designed to handle the demands of real-world usage, including security, scalability, and reliability. The production environment is also monitored, managed, and maintained by a team of professionals to ensure optimal performance. It's not the place to test our code. If we accidentally upload error-prone code, our users will be affected by our actions. As you can imagine, we will be working in a local environment. Setting up an environment can take a bit of time. Luckily, the PHP community has taken the time to provide solutions for quickly stirring up PHP environments. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide links to the most popular solutions. Developers have a plethora of options for installing PHP. There are dozens of programs online to easily prepare an environment for running PHP on a local machine. You may have encountered them, such as XAMPP, MAMP, or Laragon. While these programs are helpful, we're going to take a different approach. One of the links in the resource section takes you to a site called Replit. Replit is a service for creating environments for various programming languages. Best of all, our environments are completely accessible from the browser. We do not need to install programs on our machine to run PHP. I find that Replit is the easiest solution for beginners to get started with PHP. Here's what I want you to do. Create an account on Replit and log in into the dashboard. I'm going to quickly sign into my account. I'll see you in a moment. Alright, after signing up for an account, let's create an environment. Keep in mind, environments created on Replit are meant to be for development purposes. The applications built on this site are not meant to be publicly hosted for the world. In the future, we'll discuss some options for publicly hosting your app. For now, let's shift our focus to creating a new environment. At the top left corner, there's a button called Create. Click on it. A pop-up is going to appear to ask us a few questions. Firstly, we must select a template. As I mentioned earlier, Replit supports multiple programming languages. From the template option, we can search for PHP. A few options may appear. The option we're interested in is called PHP Web Server. Make sure to select this option. Otherwise, you may encounter errors when going through the course. Next, we must provide a name for our new project. Let's call it PHP Fundamentals. Lastly, let's create the project. Replit starts preparing our environment on our behalf. This process may take a few moments. Just be patient. After all has been said and done, our environment is ready. Let's make a few tweaks before writing code. At the bottom left corner, there's a list of tools available. From this section, there's an option to modify the settings of the project's code editor. In my opinion, the font size is too small. You may feel the same. On the Settings tab, there's an option for enlarging the font. Select a font size that's suitable for your needs. Hopefully, you can read the code on my screen. Great, we're ready to run the project. At the top of the page, click the Run button. Behind the scenes, Replit takes the time to launch our PHP application. After a few moments, a new tab appears for previewing our application. The message "Hello World" renders on our screens. Isn't that awesome? With a few clicks, we've got a working environment. Below the preview, there's a section called Console. The console is a feature we don't need to worry about. It's taking up unnecessary room on our screens. Fortunately, we can click on the Web View portion to drag it around. If we hover this section of the editor with the console, it'll get merged with the console as a tab. I recommend moving things around to reduce clutter. All we need is the file tree, code editor, and preview. Everything else will be explored as we learn more about PHP. If you have experience with PHP, you may be curious as to why I haven't mentioned Docker. Docker is a tool for managing environments on your machine. Professional PHP developers use Docker for their projects. So, why aren't we using it? The reason is simple. Docker is very complicated for beginners. I want us to focus on the basics of PHP before diving into larger, more complex tools. I consider Docker to be a great option. For now, Replit will suffice. It's time to finally start coding. For the rest of this course, I'm going to assume you have the PHP server running unless I state otherwise. When you're ready, I'll see you in the next section.